The entertainment district painted the rain-slicked streets in a kaleidoscope of colors. Tanner Baker, fresh off his latest successful merchant marine mission, stood out even in the diverse crowd of humans and aliens, his muscular frame barely contained by a tight black shirt that showed off his well-defined physique, drawing appreciative glances from various species. But his attention was completely captured by the silver-skinned beauty at the bar of the Stellar Drift, one of the most exclusive clubs in the sector. Her flowing white hair cascaded down her bare shoulders, contrasting beautifully with her sleek black leather outfit that left little to the imagination. "You're staring," she said without turning around, her voice melodious with an otherworldly undertone that sent shivers down his spine. Tanner grinned, running a hand through his tousled brown hair. "Guilty as charged, though in my defense, you're worth staring at." She turned then, revealing striking violet eyes that seemed to glow in the club's ambient lighting. "I'm Keela, and you're either very brave or very foolish to approach me so directly." Tanner Baker, and I prefer to think of it as diplomatically direct. He settled onto the stool next to her, noting how she didn't move away despite her warning tone. "What brings a Sylvan to this corner of space?" Her lips curved into a smile that held equal parts amusement and warning. "Perhaps I'm here to find my next victim." "Well, you've certainly captured my attention," Tanner signaled the bartender. "Can I buy you a drink?" "You really shouldn't." Kella's expression turned serious. "I mean it, Tanner, my kind. We're toxic to other species, literally. Our biological fluids contain proteins that are lethal to non-Sylvani. Even a kiss could kill you." Tanner raised an eyebrow, his beard failing to hide his mischievous grin. "That sounds like a challenge. It's not meant to be. I've seen what happens. It's not pleasant. Life's full of risks," Tanner said, leaning closer. "Sometimes the most beautiful things are the most dangerous." "This isn't a game," Keela insisted, but her eyes betrayed a hint of intrigue. "I've watched males of various species die horrible deaths just from a moment of passion. Then I'll die happy." Before she could protest further, Tanner closed the distance between them, pressing his lips against hers in a kiss that was equal parts gentle and determined. Kella froze for a moment before responding, then suddenly pushed him away, panic in her violet eyes. "By the stars, what have you done?" Tanner opened his mouth to reply with another witty comment, but the words never came. His vision blurred, and the room began to spin. The last thing he saw before collapsing was Kella's terrified face as she caught him in her arms. The private medical facility gleamed with an antiseptic sheen, its advanced equipment humming softly in the background. Dr. Thier, a distinguished Sylvan physician with silvery skin several shades darker than Kella's, studied the holographic readouts floating above Tanner's unconscious form with growing amazement. "In all my centuries of practice," he mused, his long fingers manipulating the data streams, "I've never seen anything quite like this. His cellular structure is adapting?" Kella paced the room, her leather outfit replaced by more modest medical attire. "What do you mean adapting? The toxin should have killed him within minutes." "Should have, yes." Thier's violet eyes, a characteristic trait of their species, narrowed in concentration, but his human physiology is displaying remarkable resilience. The proteins that are lethal to other species are being processed differently. "Will he survive?" Kella's voice cracked slightly, betraying her concern. "Thanks to your quick action in getting him here, yes, though I must admit, I'm curious about what possessed him to kiss you knowing the consequences." Kayla touched her lips unconsciously, remembering the warmth of Tanner's kiss. Humans don't always act rationally, evidently not. Thier administered another dose of stabilizing compounds through the advanced medical interface, but perhaps that's what makes them fascinating. No other species would dare such an act. Tanner stirred on the bed, his muscular frame tensing as consciousness returned, his eyes fluttered open. Focusing first on Kayla, despite his condition, a weak smile formed beneath his beard. "Worth it?" he managed to croak. "You absolute fool," Keela whispered, but there was no anger in her voice. "You could have died. Still worth it." His hand found hers, and she didn't pull away. Dr. Thier cleared his throat. "While I appreciate romantic gestures as much as anyone, I should inform you both that this isn't over. The toxin has triggered some unique mutations in your cellular structure, Tanner. You're stable for now, but you'll need careful monitoring." "How long?" Kayla asked. I was hoping you'd say that, Tanner said, his voice stronger now. Though I should warn you, I make a terrible patient. You've already proven yourself to be terrible at following medical advice, she retorted, but her fingers tightened around his. Over the next few weeks, Kayla's apartment became Tanner's recovery sanctuary. The high-rise dwelling offered spectacular views of New Zion's skyline, though Tanner spent most of his time either resting or undergoing Dr. Thier's treatments. Kayla proved to be an attentive caregiver, if somewhat stern about following medical protocols. You know, Tanner said one evening, as they watched the sunset paint the sky in brilliant hues, most people buy dinner first before moving in together. Kayla, who had been adjusting his medication dosage, shot him an exasperated look. Most people don't try to kill themselves with a kiss. I prefer to think of it as taking the initiative. He caught her hand, his thumb tracing patterns on her silver skin. Besides, it led to this being confined to bed while your body fights off lethal toxins. This being time with you. His brown eyes held her gaze. Though I admit not quite how I imagined getting you to take me to bed. Kayla felt her skin flush a deeper silver. You're impossible, part of my charm. He tugged her closer, ignoring the warning beep from his medical monitors. And you haven't told me to stop because you nearly died trying to kiss me. And somehow that's the most romantic thing anyone's ever done. She perched on the edge of the bed, her white hair falling like a curtain around them. Foolish, reckless, and completely irrational, but romantic. I'm sensing a pattern in how you describe me. His free hand reached up to brush her hair back, fingers lingering on her cheek. Beautiful and deadly, like a rose with poisoned thorns. Humans and their poetic metaphors, she murmured, but leaned into his touch. Doctor, Thier says your body's developing an immunity to my toxins, slowly but surely. See, my reckless behavior is paying off already. His grin turned mischievous. Want to help me build up that immunity faster? Dr. Thier's discovery changed everything. The morning he arrived at Kayla's apartment with his latest test results, his usually composed demeanor barely contained his excitement. The data is conclusive, he announced, projecting a holographic display of cellular interactions. Physical proximity between you two isn't just beneficial, it's crucial for Tanner's adaptation process. Tanner, lounging on the couch in loose-fitting recovery clothes, exchanged a meaningful glance with Kayla. Defined proximity, or do we mean skin contact? The more direct, the better. Thier manipulated the hologram, highlighting specific cellular reactions. Your body produces unique compounds that, when absorbed through Kayla's skin, trigger a gradual neutralization of her toxic proteins. Simultaneously, exposure to her biochemistry accelerates your immunity development. Kayla's silver skin flushed slightly darker. That's unexpected. Unprecedented, Thier corrected. No other species has shown this capability. The human adaptive response is remarkable. He paused, studying them both. I'm prescribing increased physical contact as part of the treatment protocol. Tanner's beard didn't hide his grin. Doctor's orders, then. Within reason, Thier stressed, though his violet eyes held a hint of amusement. Start slowly. Monitor your reactions. I've updated your medical interfaces to track the biochemical changes. After Thier left, a charged silence filled the apartment. Kayla stood by the panoramic window, the city lights below casting ever-shifting patterns across her silver skin. So, Tanner said, moving to stand behind her, about that prescription. She turned to face him, her white hair catching the city's glow. This isn't a game, Tanner. No, he agreed, reaching out to trace the curve of her shoulder. It's medicine. The first touch sent tingles through both of them. Kayla's skin was cooler than human, silk smooth under his fingers. Tanner was warm, almost hot against hers, his pulse strong and steady. Your temperature, she murmured, placing her palm against his chest. It's increased. That's not the medicine, he said softly. Their medical monitors beeped in synchronization, recording the biochemical cascade triggered by their contact. Kayla watched the readings with a scientific detachment, or tried to. The cellular response is stronger than Thier predicted. I'm not looking at the readings, Tanner said, his hand sliding down her arm. I'm looking at you. Days passed in a dance of careful touches and monitored contact. Each session pushed their boundaries a little further, testing the limits of their unique biochemistry. Kayla's apartment became their sanctuary, a place where they could explore their growing connection away from curious eyes. The medical interfaces tracked their progress, showing steady improvement in Tanner's immunity levels. But the clinical nature of their prescribed contact couldn't mask the growing tension between them. "Your adaptation is progressing faster than expected," Kayla noted one evening, reviewing their latest readings. She sat cross-legged on her bed, wearing comfortable loungewear that still managed to emphasize her ethereal beauty. Tanner stretched out beside her, reached up to tuck a strand of white hair behind her ear. "Is that your scientific observation among others?" She caught his hand, intertwining their fingers. "Your recklessness is proving surprisingly beneficial. I prefer to think of it as inspired intuition." He sat up, their faces close. "What other observations have you made?" Kella's free hand traced the line of his jaw, fingers brushing through his beard. "Your heart rate increases by 15% when I do this." Her touch drifted to his neck. 25% when I do this." "And what about yours?" His voice had dropped lower, rougher. "Sylvans don't experience the same physiological responses as humans," but her breathing had quickened, betraying her words. "No." Tanner leaned closer, his lips nearly brushing her ear. "Then why does your skin flush silver when I'm near?" Their monitors chimed in unison, recording elevated readings across all parameters. Keela glanced at the displays, then back to Tanner. "The data suggests we're reaching new thresholds." "That's not all we're reaching," he murmured, drawing her closer. What followed was a revelation of trust and discovery. Guided by instinct and monitored by science, their unique biology created its own harmony, each touch building on the last and each moment deepening their connection. Later, as they lay entwined, their medical interfaces displayed unprecedented levels of adaptation. Killa traced patterns on Tanner's chest, marveling at how natural it felt to be with him. "Your immunity levels have doubled," she said softly. "Is that what we're calling it?" His laugh rumbled through his chest. "The scientific terminology is important." Then, scientifically speaking, he pulled her closer. "I think we need to repeat the experiment for verification purposes." The morning sun streamed through the apartment's panoramic windows, casting rainbow refractions off Kella's silvery skin as she studied the latest medical readouts with intense concentration. Tanner watched her from their bed, admiring how the light played across her features. "Your biochemistry has undergone remarkable changes," she announced, her scientific tone belied by the tender way she reached out to trace his jawline. "The adaptation goes far beyond simple immunity now." "I could have told you that without the fancy readings," Tanner replied, catching her hand and pressing a kiss to her palm. "Everything feels, heightened, more intense." Dr. Thier's morning transmission flickered to life on their comm screen, his violet eyes wide with excitement. "The latest data is extraordinary, Tanner. Your cellular structure is exhibiting properties I've never seen in any species. You're not just adapting to Keela's toxins, you're incorporating them." "Incorporating them?" Kella's grip on Tanner's hand tightened. "What exactly does that mean?" "It means," Thier explained, manipulating the holographic displays, "that Tanner's body isn't just building immunity. It's using the toxic proteins to enhance his own biological systems. His strength has increased by 27%, his neural processing speed is up 31%, and his cellular regeneration rate has nearly doubled." Tanner flexed his free hand, studying it. "That explains why everything feels more vivid lately. Colors are brighter, sensations are stronger. And that's just the beginning." Thier continued, "Kayla, your latest scans show equally fascinating changes. Your body's natural toxin production has altered its chemical composition, becoming less lethal to humans, or rather, specifically less lethal to Tanner, while maintaining its potency against other species. A targeted adaptation." Keela mused, her scientific curiosity piqued. "That shouldn't be possible." "Many things about your situation shouldn't be possible," Thier reminded them. "Yet here we are. The question is, how far will these changes go?" The answer began revealing itself over the next few weeks. Their continuing intimacy accelerated the transformations in both their bodies. Tanner found himself stronger, faster, more aware of everything around him. Kella discovered new sensations, her traditionally cool Sylvan temperament warming to match Tanner's passionate nature. One evening, as they stood on their apartment's balcony watching New Zion's sunset, Tanner noticed something different about Kella. "You smell like starlight," he murmured into her hair. She turned in his arms, violet eyes meeting his brown ones. "Starlight doesn't have a smell, Tanner. It does to me now, ever since we—" He gestured vaguely at their entwined bodies. "Everything about you is clearer, stronger, like my senses have been upgraded to experience you fully." "The human capacity for poetic description never ceases to amaze me," she teased, but her voice held a note of wonder. "Though I must admit, I've experienced similar enhancements in my perception of you." Their monitors chimed simultaneously, drawing their attention to new readings. Kella's eyes widened as she processed the data. "Tanner," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "According to these readings, What is it?" he cued, her face concerned by her expression. "I'm carrying your child. Our child. Something that should be biologically impossible." Tanner stared at her for a long moment, then broke into a broad grin. "Impossible seems to be our specialty. This is serious," but she couldn't help smiling back. "No Sylvan has ever successfully conceived with another species. The toxins in our system usually prevent it." "Well, I've never been good at following biological rules," Tanner said, pulling her closer. "Remember that first kiss?" "How could I forget? You nearly died." "Best near-death experience of my life." His hand drifted to her stomach. "And now, look where it's led us." "Doctor?" Thier's reaction to the news was predictably enthusiastic. "This is unprecedented. The implications for xenobiology are staggering. We'll need to monitor every aspect of the pregnancy, document all the changes, study the genetic combinations." "Slow down," Doc Tanner interrupted. "This isn't just a scientific breakthrough. This is our child." Of course, Thier agreed, though his eyes still gleamed with scientific curiosity. But you must understand, this proves that human adaptability extends far beyond what we previously thought possible. Your species continues to amaze us." "It's not just Tanner's adaptability," Kella pointed out, her hand unconsciously resting on her abdomen. "My body has changed too. Evolved, perhaps, to make this possible." "Indeed," Thier confirmed. "The synchronization between your physiologies is remarkable. It's as if your bodies are rewriting their own genetic codes to accommodate each other." The Sylvan maternal center loomed before them, its crystalline architecture catching the morning light in prismatic displays. Kayla squeezed Tanner's hand as they approached the entrance, her other hand resting protectively over her slightly swollen abdomen. "Remember," she whispered, "traditional Sylvan birthing ceremonies are different from human ones." Tanner adjusted his formal attire, a compromise between human fashion and Sylvan ceremonial wear. "After surviving your kiss, I think I can handle a few cultural surprises." "The attending physician, doctor?" Marina greeted them with typical Sylvan formality, though her violet eyes widened slightly at Tanner's presence. "The first cross-species conception in recorded history," she mused, activating a series of holographic displays. "Your child will need special protocols." "Special how?" Tanner asked, watching as three-dimensional images of Sylvan and human DNA strands danced through the air. "Traditionally, Sylvan fathers undergo a biological synchronization ritual during the first trimester," Marina explained. "It allows them to share the physical burden of gestation. Given your unique adaptations, we believe you might be capable of participating." Keela's grip on Tanner's hand tightened. "The ritual is intense, even for Sylvan males, for a human." "I'm in," Tanner interrupted, earning surprised looks from both women. "What did you think? I'd let you go through this alone?" "The ritual requires intimate biological connection," Marina warned. "Your previous exposure to the Sylvan toxins might have prepared you, but this will be different, more comprehensive." Tanner grinned, his beard failing to hide his determination. "Doc, I kissed her when it should have killed me. I think we're past worrying about biological connections." The preparation chamber was a marvel of bioorganic architecture, its walls pulsing with soft bioluminescence. As they prepared for the ritual, Keela couldn't help but admire how naturally Tanner adapted to each new challenge their relationship presented. "You know," she said, helping him into the ceremonial garments, "most males of other species wouldn't even consider this ritual. The biological merger is considered too intimate, too dangerous." Most males of other species wouldn't have kissed you in the first place, he reminded her, pulling her close. I've never been good at following conventional wisdom. The ritual itself was unlike anything in human experience. Bioorganic tendrils connected them, creating a physical bridge between their bodies. Through this connection, Tanner began sharing the biological demands of their growing child. Fascinating, Marina observed, monitoring their vital signs. His system isn't just accepting the connection, it's enhancing it. The human capacity for biological adaptation continues to astonish. Hours later, as they rested in the recovery chamber, Tanner experienced the first effects of their deeper connection. I can feel them, he whispered, wonder in his voice. Our child. It's like they're part of me now. That's the purpose of the ritual, Keela explained, her silver skin glowing with a new radiance. Sylvans believe both parents should share equally in creating new life. It's more than that, Tanner said, placing his hand over hers on her stomach. I can sense you too, more clearly than ever. Your emotions, your physical state, it's all there. A side effect of your unique adaptation, Marina explained, reviewing their post-ritual readings. The connection has strengthened your existing biological synchronization. Your bodies continue to evolve together in ways we never thought possible. The next few weeks brought new challenges as they adapted to their enhanced connection. Tanner experienced morning sickness alongside Kella, shared her cravings, and felt every movement of their developing child. Rather than complain, he embraced each new sensation with characteristic enthusiasm. You know what's really interesting? He mused one evening as they lounged in their apartment. I can tell when you're thinking about kissing me now. Your biochemistry shifts in this particular way. Keela laughed, a sound that had become more frequent since their ritual. And how exactly does it shift? Instead of answering, Tanner pulled her into a kiss that demonstrated exactly how well he understood their connection. Their monitors chimed in harmony, recording yet another successful interaction between their unique physiologies. Your adaptation continues to exceed all expectations, Doctor, Thea commented during their next checkup. The ritual has accelerated the process exponentially. Your child is developing perfectly, incorporating the best aspects of both species and the toxicity concerns? Keela asked, though with less worry than before. Completely managed through your mutual adaptation. In fact, your biochemical synchronization has reached levels we never thought possible. You've essentially created a new subspecies between you. Tanner raised an eyebrow. Does this mean our next kiss won't be potentially lethal? Oh, it's still lethal, Thea assured him with a slight smile. Just not to you anymore. The Grand Interspecies Medical Conference Hall buzzed with excitement. Representatives from dozens of species filled the amphitheater, their attention focused on the holographic display showing Tanner and Kella's remarkable biological data. Doctor, Thea stood at the podium, presenting their case with barely contained enthusiasm. What we're witnessing isn't just an anomaly, he declared. It's evolution in action. The human ability to adapt, combined with Sylvan biochemistry, has created possibilities we never imagined. In the front row, Tanner squeezed Kella's hand. Her pregnancy was now clearly visible, her silver skin glowing with an ethereal radiance that drew admiring glances from the assembled crowd. Their successful union had become a symbol of hope for other interspecies couples. The implications extend far beyond reproduction, Thea continued. The human adaptive response suggests potential solutions for numerous biological incompatibilities between species. A drachnid physician raised his scaled hand. But surely this is an isolated case. The human male's survival of initial contact with Sylvan toxins was unprecedented. Tanner stood, his enhanced physique commanding attention. Maybe that's because nobody else was crazy enough to try. His casual humor drew chuckles from the audience. Or maybe we've been too focused on our differences instead of our potential to change. The data supports his assertion, Thea added. Human cellular plasticity, when properly stimulated, shows remarkable potential for cross-species adaptation. Tanner's initial survival wasn't just luck. It was the first step in a biological revolution. After the presentation, they were approached by various couples seeking advice. A human woman and her Andromedan partner were particularly eager to learn from their experience. We've been told it's impossible, the woman explained. hope shining in her eyes. But seeing you two, nothing's impossible, Tanner assured them, drawing Keela closer, just unexplored. Later that evening, in their private suite at the conference center, Keela watched Tanner as he reviewed messages from other couples seeking guidance. "You've become quite the relationship counselor," she teased, running her fingers through his hair. "Just sharing what we've learned," he replied, leaning into her touch. "Though I still maintain the best advice is kiss first, worry later. That approach nearly killed you. Best near-death experience ever." He turned to face her, his enhanced senses picking up the subtle changes in her biochemistry that indicated her arousal, still does in the best possible way. Their monitors beeped, recording another successful interaction between their unique physiologies. What had started as necessary medical observation had become a constant reminder of their unique bond. The next morning brought news of the first successful adaptation therapy based on their case. A human Centaurian couple had achieved biological compatibility through a modified version of their treatment protocol. "It's happening faster than we anticipated," Thea reported via hologram. "The medical community is calling it the Baker-Keller protocol. Your legacy is already changing lives." "Our real legacy isn't the protocol," Keela said, placing their joined hands over her swollen abdomen. "It's proving that love can overcome even biological barriers." "Speaking of overcoming barriers," Tanner added, "any word on the other couples attempting the parental synchronization ritual?" "3 successful cases so far," Thea confirmed, "all involving human partners. Your species' adaptability continues to amaze us." The conference's closing ceremony became an unexpected celebration of their influence. Couples from various species approached them, sharing stories of hope and determination, inspired by their example. "You've started a revolution," Dr. Marina observed, joining them at their table. "The old barriers between species are falling, one couple at a time, all because someone was foolish enough to kiss a poisonous alien." Keela mused, giving Tanner a fond look. "Not foolish," he corrected, pulling her into a gentle embrace. "Just human enough to follow my heart instead of my head." Their monitors chimed again, recording the perfect harmony of their biochemistry, a symphony of adaptation that was becoming the template for a new era of interspecies relationships. The private medical suite in the Sylvan Maternal Center hummed with activity as Dr. Thea and Dr. Marina reviewed the latest scans of Keela and Tanner's unborn child. The holographic displays showed a perfect fusion of human and Sylvan genetics, creating something entirely new, yet wonderfully natural. "The fetal development is fascinating," Marina observed, manipulating the three-dimensional image. "The child has inherited the best adaptations from both species. Human cellular plasticity combined with Sylvan biochemical resilience." Tanner stood behind Keela's examination chair, his hands resting on her shoulders. Through their enhanced connection, he could feel their child's steady heartbeat, a rhythm that matched perfectly with their own synchronized pulses. "No abnormalities?" Keela asked, her scientist mind still cautious despite their success. "Quite the opposite," Thea replied enthusiastically. "Your child represents the next step in both our species' evolution, not through mutation or genetic engineering, but through natural adaptation and compatibility." The doctor's excitement was interrupted by a gentle kick from the baby, strong enough to make both Tanner and Keela gasp and share the sensation. Their biological synchronization had deepened to the point where they experienced nearly everything together. "That's another remarkable aspect," noted, adjusting her instruments. "The parental bond you share has strengthened beyond anything we've seen in pure Sylvan couples. It's as if human adaptability has enhanced the traditional connection." Later that evening, in the privacy of their apartment, Tanner and Keela discussed the implications of their latest medical review, the city lights of New Zion creating a romantic backdrop as they relaxed on their balcony. "Remember when you thought kissing me would kill you?" Keela mused, tracing patterns on his chest. "Best risk I ever took," Tanner replied, pulling her closer. "Though I admit, I didn't expect it to lead to revolutionizing interspecies genetics." Their monitors chimed softly, recording another perfect harmony in their biochemistry. What had started as necessary medical observation had become a constant reminder of their unique bond. "Dr. Thea's latest theory is interesting," Keela said, her scientific curiosity evident in her voice. "He believes our success wasn't just luck or your remarkable human adaptability, He thinks our species might have been evolutionarily compatible all along, and just waiting for someone foolish enough to try. Not foolish, Tanner corrected, kissing her temple, brave enough to follow their heart. Their intimate moment was interrupted by a call from Dr. Thier. His holographic image appeared, practically vibrating with excitement. "I've completed the genetic analysis," he announced without preamble. "Your child's DNA shows something remarkable. The human adaptive traits and sylvan biochemical properties haven't just combined, they've enhanced each other. It's as if your genetics were meant to merge." "What exactly does that mean?" Tanner asked, his hand protectively covering Keela's swollen abdomen. "It means," Thier explained, "your child will have natural immunities to both human and sylvan biochemistry, plus enhanced adaptive capabilities. Not supernatural abilities, but rather the best traits of both species working in perfect harmony." Keela's scientific training kicked in. That level of genetic compatibility shouldn't be possible without millions of years of convergent evolution. Unless, Thier suggested, humans and sylvans share some ancient, common ancestor. Your union might have reactivated dormant genetic pathways that were always there, just waiting for the right combination. The implications of this theory kept them awake long into the night. As they lay together in their bed, their enhanced connection allowing them to share every thought and sensation, Tanner pondered the cosmic coincidence that had brought them together. Maybe it wasn't coincidence at all, he mused, his fingers tangled in Kella's white hair. Maybe we were always meant to find each other, to prove that love really can overcome any barrier, even poisonous saliva. "Especially poisonous saliva," Keela teased, though her violet eyes held deep affection. He pulled her into a kiss that still sent thrills through both their enhanced physiologies, though I have to admit, I'm glad our child won't have to go through quite such a dramatic courtship. Their monitors recorded another perfect synchronization, a testament to how far they'd come from that first dangerous kiss. Their child moved between them, its presence a physical reminder of their unprecedented union. The sunset painted New Zion's skyline in shades of amber and rose as Tanner and Kella prepared for their evening meditation session. What had started as a medical necessity to maintain their biological synchronization had evolved into an intimate ritual that deepened their unique bond. Their apartment's meditation chamber, a gift from the Sylvan Medical Council, filled with soft bioluminescence that responded to their combined biochemical signatures. The advanced monitoring systems had become so attuned to their physiology that they barely noticed them anymore. "Your biochemistry shifts differently now," Keela observed, her silver skin glowing in the ambient light. "It's become more harmonious with mine." Tanner settled behind her, his enhanced senses picking up the subtle changes in her scent that indicated contentment. "I can feel it too. It's like our bodies have created their own language. Through their deepened connection, they could share not just physical sensations, but emotional resonances." The baby's presence added a third harmony to their biological symphony, creating patterns that fascinated their medical team. "Dr. Thier's latest theory suggests our bond might be teaching other couples something important," Kella mused, leaning back against Tanner's chest. "It's not just about biological compatibility. It's about surrendering to the connection itself. Leave it to a scientist to make falling in love sound clinical," Tanner teased, his fingers tracing patterns on her arms that sent shivers through both their bodies. Their monitors chimed softly, recording another perfect synchronization. The meditation deepened their shared consciousness, exploring new aspects of their connection. Through their bond, they could feel the baby's contentment, its developing awareness, already attuned to their unique harmony. Later that night, as they lay entwined in their bed, Kella studied the latest data from their monitoring systems. "The biochemical patterns during our meditation are remarkable. It's as if our bodies are constantly evolving to strengthen our connection." "I could have told you that without the fancy readings," Tanner murmured, nuzzling her. Their enhanced sensitivity made every touch an exploration of new sensations, though I admit, the scientific validation is satisfying. Their monitors recorded another spike in synchronization as their intimacy deepened. What had once been deadly had become a perfect dance of adapted biochemistry, their bodies now working in flawless harmony. The next morning brought Dr. Thier's latest analysis. His holographic image appeared during breakfast, practically buzzing with excitement. "Your evening meditation sessions have revealed something extraordinary," he announced. "The biochemical patterns you generate are creating a template for other couples. We've already successfully used it to help 3 more human-sylvan pairs achieve initial compatibility. Without the near-death experience?" Tanner asked, grinning. "Fortunately, yes," Thea confirmed. "Your reckless approach, while ultimately successful, isn't one we'd recommend replicating." Thea manipulated some data streams. "But the deep connection you've developed, that's becoming our new standard for successful interspecies bonding." Keela's scientific curiosity sparked. "How exactly are you using our patterns?" "We've developed a biological resonance chamber based on your meditation sessions," Thea explained. "It helps couples achieve a preliminary level of biochemical harmony, making the adaptation process smoother and safer." The implications kept them talking long after Thea's transmission ended. Their private connection, born of one impulsive kiss, was becoming a roadmap for others to follow. "It's strange," Keela reflected, watching the morning traffic flow past their window. "When you first kissed me, I thought it was the end. Instead, it was just the beginning. Not just for us, but for so many others." Tanner pulled her close, their enhanced connection allowing him to feel the complex mix of emotions behind her words. "The best beginnings often look like endings at first." Their child moved between them, its presence a physical reminder of how far they'd come. Through their bond, they could feel its contentment, its developing consciousness, already attuned to their unique harmony. The Stellar Drift Club looked exactly as it had the night they first met, its sophisticated ambiance unchanged by time. Tanner and Keela stood at the entrance, her advanced pregnancy giving her an ethereal glow that drew admiring glances from patrons of all species. "Feeling nostalgic?" Tanner asked. His enhanced senses picked up the subtle changes in her biochemistry that indicated both excitement and contentment. "The last time we were here, I warned you that my kiss could kill you," Keela reminded him, her violet eyes sparkling with memory. "And you, in your infinite human wisdom, decided that was an invitation." The bartender recognized them immediately, his tentacles rippling in greeting. "The famous couple. Your story has become quite the legend here. We even named a drink after you, the Fatal Kiss." "Please tell me it's not actually lethal," Tanner laughed, his arm protectively around Keela's waist. "Only to your sobriety," the bartender assured them, preparing 2 non-toxic versions of their signature cocktail. "Though we do make customers sign a waiver, just for the theme of it." They settled into the same seats they'd occupied that first night, their monitors humming softly as they recorded the perfect synchronization of their biochemistry. Through their deep connection, they could feel their child's peaceful movements, already attuned to the rhythm of their combined heartbeats. "Did you know?" Kella asked suddenly, her fingers tracing patterns on Tanner's hand. "That first night when you kissed me, did you really understand the risk? Honestly?" He turned to face her, his brown eyes meeting her violet ones. "I knew you weren't exaggerating about the danger. I could see the truth in your eyes, feel the weight of your warning. But in that moment, all I could think was that never kissing you would be worse than dying." Their monitors chimed softly, recording the surge of emotion that passed between them. Their connection had grown so deep that they could share not just sensations, but the very essence of their feelings. "You humans," Kella marveled. "You humans," Kella marveled, her free hand resting on her swollen abdomen. "Your capacity for illogical decisions in the name of love continues to amaze our scientists." "That's because your scientists are trying to quantify something that defies measurement," Tanner replied, pulling her closer. "Though I have to admit, the data we've generated has been pretty impressive." Dr. Thea's holographic image appeared above their table, right on schedule for their evening check-in. "Speaking of data, your latest readings are fascinating. The biochemical harmony you're achieving now surpasses even our most optimistic projections." "Is that your scientific way of saying we're more in love than ever?" Tanner teased. "From a purely biological perspective, yes," Thea agreed, his violet eyes twinkling. "Your bodies have achieved a level of synchronization we once thought impossible. The toxic proteins that should have killed Tanner have become integral to your shared biology. It's as if your initial survival wasn't just luck, it was the first step in an evolutionary dance." Later that night, in their apartment high above New Zion, they stood on their balcony watching the stars, the city lights below creating a magical atmosphere reminiscent of that first fateful evening. Full circle, Keela murmured, leaning back against Tanner's chest, from a warning about poisonous kisses to creating new life together. Not quite full circle, he corrected, turning her to face him, more like the first loop of an infinite spiral. Every day brings something new, something deeper. Their monitors recorded another perfect synchronization as they kissed, their biochemistry dancing in harmony. What had once been deadly had become life, affirming their unique connection, a testament to love's power to overcome any barrier. Through their bond, they felt their child respond to their happiness, its consciousness already part of their shared experience. The medical interfaces tracked the complex interplay of their adapted physiologies, recording data that would help future couples follow their path, though hopefully with less risk than that first impulsive kiss. The Sylvan birthing chamber glowed with bioluminescent warmth as Kella held their newborn son, Nixon, his skin a perfect blend of human warmth and Sylvan silver. Tanner sat beside them, their shared connection, allowing him to feel every nuance of joy and wonder coursing through their family bond. "He's beautiful," Tanner whispered, touching their son's cheek with a gentle finger. Nixon's eyes, when they opened, revealed a striking combination. Human brown, with hints of sylvan violet swirling through the irises. Dr. Thier and Dr. Marina stood nearby, their medical interfaces recording the unprecedented vital signs of the galaxy's first human sylvan child. "His biochemistry is remarkable," Thier observed. "Perfect stability between both species' characteristics, just like his parents," Marina added with a smile, "though hopefully he'll show better judgment about poisonous kisses." Through their enhanced connection, Tanner and Kella could feel their son's contentment. His consciousness already attuned to their unique family bond, the monitoring systems recorded the perfect three-way harmony of their combined biochemistry. Later that evening, in their private recovery suite overlooking New Zion's glittering skyline, Tanner watched as Kella nursed their son. Their biological synchronization had evolved to accommodate this new aspect of their relationship, ensuring Nixon could safely receive nourishment from both his human and sylvan heritage. "Remember when you thought my kiss would kill you?" Tanner mused, his fingers intertwined with Kella's free hand. "Remember when it almost did?" she countered, but her violet eyes sparkled with affection. "You humans and your remarkable ability to turn near-death experiences into love stories." Their monitors chimed softly, recording another perfect synchronization. What had started as necessary medical observation had become a symphony of their shared life, each reading telling the story of their evolving bond. The next morning brought a stream of well-wishers. Both in person and via hologram, their story had become a symbol of hope throughout the galaxy, proving that love could overcome even the most formidable biological barriers. "Your legacy extends far beyond Nixon," Dr. Thier told them during his morning rounds. "The protocols developed from your case have already helped dozens of interspecies couples achieve compatibility. You've opened doors we never knew existed. Though we still don't recommend starting with a potentially lethal kiss," Dr. Marina added dryly. Tanner grinned, his beard failing to hide his pride. "Where's the romance in playing it safe?" Through their connection, he felt Keela's mixture of exasperation and profound love at his typically human response. Their bond had grown so deep that words were often unnecessary, their biochemistry speaking its own language of devotion. As evening approached, they stood together on their suite's balcony, Nixon sleeping peacefully in Keela's arms. The sunset painted the sky in colors that seemed more vibrant through their enhanced perceptions, their shared biology, allowing them to experience every moment with unprecedented depth. "Our story has become quite the legend," Tanner said, wrapping his arms around his family. "The foolish human who kissed a poisonous alien and lived to tell the tale." "Not foolish," Keela corrected, leaning back against his chest. "Brave enough to follow your heart instead of your head, though perhaps next time a simple dinner invitation would suffice." "Where's the fun in that?" He nuzzled her neck, their monitors recording the familiar surge of attraction that still sparked between them. "Besides, our way worked out pretty well, wouldn't you say?" Nixon stirred in his sleep, his consciousness brushing against theirs. Through their family bond, his existence was proof that love could transcend any barrier, that biology itself would bend to accommodate the heart's desires. Their monitors chimed one final time, recording the perfect harmony of their family unit. What had begun with a potentially fatal kiss had evolved into something beautiful and unprecedented, a love story that would inspire generations across the galaxy. You know, Kayla mused, watching the stars emerge above New Zion, for someone who nearly died from our first kiss, you've become remarkably good at them. Practice makes perfect, Tanner replied, turning her face to his. And I plan to keep practicing for a very long time. Their kiss, once deadly, now sparked with life and promise. Through their union, they felt Nixon's contentment and their family connection a testament to love's power to transform even the most lethal barriers into bridges of life. As night fell over the city, their story had full circle while continuing to evolve. Their legacy would live on, not just through their son, but through every couple who followed their path to find love across the stars